I want to talk about a growing church. I think if you are a member of a church, you should want your church to grow. We should not want our church to just stay like it is. It may be uncomfortable. It may bring about changes. The focus, a lot of times people in the church want the focus to be on me. I want the church, the focus of the church, the focus of the pastor, the focus of the ministry of the church to focus on me, on my family, on my needs. And that is a part of the church. But a church that's focused inwardly and not reaching outwardly, it's not going to be a growing church. But here are some stages or phases that we need to go through, to help people go through to become a growing church. We need to have a process or a system in place to take people through these phases, and we need to have people plugged into this process or this system. Here we have the community. That is the area that we live in, the unchurched people, the people that's not regular members of a church, just the community at large that needs to be reached. Then somebody going from the community, becoming a visitor or a guest at our church. They're not just outside the church, or not just somebody that is in our community that is lost or away from God, but now they have visited our church. They have been a guest at our church. But once they've done that, we need to help people move from that stage to become a member. Not just to say they're a member of a church, but in other words, to say they have obeyed the plan of salvation. They've had their sins forgiven. They've been born again. They have moved from the stage of just being a visitor of the church to being saved. And now they have become a member of the church. Also, we need to move people from not just being somebody that's come in and has been born again, somebody that's saved, but now they are a faithful member of the church. They're always at church. They're a giving person. There are people that's at prayer meetings. They're faithful. You can depend on these people. You just know that they're going to be there. If they're not there, then something's happened with them. But not only there, we don't need to stop and just leave people in that committed state. But we need to help them move from that into ministry. And by that, I don't mean you are the lead pastor, that you are the leader of the church, but I mean you are involved in a ministry of the church. Every person at church is a member of the body. Every part of the body has a function and has a role, and if it does not do that function, if it does not operate in that role, then the body will suffer. And that's the same way it is in the church. We are all ministers. Which the word minister simply means a servant. You are to serve God, serve your church, serve your community, serve the world, make a difference for the kingdom of God. And we need to move people from that. Not just being faithful to church, being a faithful, growing church member, but they are involved in a ministry of the church, whether it's outreach, whether it's teaching, whatever it is. I mean, there's so many different things that you could be involved in the church. And new people that come in. And they'll say this, there's 3 things that somebody needs when they first come to church. When somebody is a visitor of the church and they become born again, before they become this, there's 3 things that need to happen. They need to understand the basic doctrines and teachings of the Bible. They need to understand how to grow, how to pray, how to overcome this flesh, how to become a mature Christian. They also need friends. They've come out of the world. They need their friends replaced. They need a group of people where somebody that will call them regular. They will visit with them. They will get them to come eat with them. They'll go out to eat with them. They'll go shopping, fishing. But now they've got new friends to replace the friends that's probably turned their back on them. And they may want to separate some because they don't want to go. They know if they go out right now and they're around those people, they'll probably go back to their old ways. So they need friends. They need new friends. Not a friendly. We don't just need to be a friendly church, but we need to have friends in the church. Make friends with new people in the church. And also people need to be involved. Not in a level of leadership, but they need to be involved in something at the church, in a helps ministry. They are coming, they are helping you do whatever it is that you're doing. You could be setting up tables, whatever. No matter how small or large you think it is, have them come along with you and help you out in whatever it is. They need to be taught, they need to have friends, and they need to be involved. And if you can have people go through those 3 things, the new people that have went from being a visitor into being born again, if you can get them being those 3 things, the chances are they're not going to veer away from God. They're not going to stray away from God. They're not going to leave the church. But we need to have a people and a process in place. These things on their own, they just won't happen on their own. We must have a process or a system. And we must have people that are involved in reaching out to the community. This going out to the community, this inviting people from the community to our church, this having bus ministry, having door knocking, having just any different way, having servant evangelism, being a blessing to the community. But get people and process in place to get people to become a visitor of the church. And you need to have people and a process in place that once somebody does visit the church, that they are taught a Bible study, where they may become saved during the service. They may respond to the preaching, but they still don't really know and understand everything they need to know about salvation. They need to be taught a Bible study. They need to be taught the plan of salvation. They need to understand why it is that we believe what we believe, why it is that we do what we do. That's why anybody that comes to our church, a new person, if they're new, they visit, they need to be taught a Bible study, a plan of salvation Bible study that is simple to understand, that helps them understand the Bible. And they're not just a visitor of the church, but now they have become saved. They are becoming a member of the church, somebody that will start going to your church. And now you will need a process or a system and people in place that will make people or help people. You can't make anybody do anything, but you can help people on their process to becoming a faithful, growing Christian, to becoming a disciple. And once they are a disciple, you need to have a process or a system in place and people that will help people have training to be in ministry. They will have leadership training. They will have ministry training. They will have teacher training. Whatever it is, whatever part that they're in, they understand the need and they get the teaching that they need. They get the resources they need. Whatever it is, they get the help that they need to become a functioning member and part of the body that is a benefit to the church and a benefit to the community and a benefit to the kingdom of God. And we need to have processes and people in place. These things just won't happen on their own. They just won't naturally happen. We must have things set up that will help people. And have people and a process for each step along the way. And that is how we'll be a growing church. That is how we will be a thriving church. One that storms the gates of hell. One that makes a difference in the community. That reaches out. That not only reaches people, but also retains those that come. Let's be a growing church. Not just so we can say we're growing, we have more numbers than we used to, or our church is bigger, but because the more people that is saved and the more people that's discipled, the more people that's in ministry, the more people involved, then that's the less people that is on their way to hell. That is the less people that is going to spend eternity in a lake of fire. So let's do our part and let's be a growing church.